Okay, guys, so this is actually an explanation related to your MX Access software. So normally we have covered in our tutorial classes, if you remember it correctly. So now I'm going to explain it how to create the tables. And then I will also discuss about how to answer some of the questions related to the tables, okay? So MS Access software is actually one of the softwares that is going to be covered in this subject in IKE 231. Okay, so let us assume we have been given this kind of questions. Okay, so we have been asked to use MS Access software, and then we have, let us assume the company has 4 tables: the sales table, the sales inventory table, the inventory table, and the customer table. Okay, and then we have been asked to input these tables into MS Access software. That is the first step. And after we input it, we have been asked to answer this question from A to G. Okay. So for example, in the first case, we have been asking how many different types of inventory items the company sold. Okay. So we need to answer this one using what you call a query in MS Access. So we'll answer one by one. So this video is structured as follows. Okay. The structure of the video is actually as follows. So in the first step, I'll show you how to create the tables, because that's the first step in any MS Access software. So the second one is how to answer questions from A to C, okay? And then after that, from D to G, okay? From D to G, we are going to answer it basically later on. So the video will be composed of 3 parts. So the first one is how to input the tables, these tables. And then the second one is we're going to answer actually these questions. And then lastly, I'll show you how to answer the remaining questions, okay? So let us start with how to actually input the tables, okay? So the first thing is we need to search the Access software. I assume all of you have MS Access software. In case you don't have it, you have to go to the campus, to our university, and then you can use our lab, okay? So any lab has actually MS Access software, so you can complete your lab project over there, okay? Or for your own exercise, you can just go there and then you can complete it, okay? So if you don't have any MS Access software, let me know, okay? So go to search and then access and then click here, okay? So let us save it. So let us rename this one. So let us say this one is actually MX Access, okay, lab 2, okay? Let us make it as at week 3, okay? Let us make it lab 3, okay? So let us create it. So now we have already created. Let me just go to my documents, okay? MS Access, you see, this one is actually, it's created today, okay? So it is already saved here. So whenever I input the data, it will be automatically saved, okay? Now what I'm going to do is, so let us actually input the data. Okay, so let us start with sales table. Okay. Now, as you can see here, I cannot input any data, right? You cannot input it because it is automatic. So come here. Okay, let us rename this table as sales table. Okay, it is already saved. Sales table is over here. So as you can see, it is auto number. That is why we cannot actually input the data. So change it to a number. And then let us rename this one. This one is this one, the sales invoice number. So put it sales invoice number here. Okay, next one, it is a date. So let us change it to date here. And then we have salesperson. Show the text. Customer number. This one is a number, okay? Now we have actually created this one, okay, for the title for the table. So let us come back to this one, the design view. So MX Access has 2 features, okay? One is the design view, and another one is actually the datasheet view. So once you created the variables in your design view, let us come back to the datasheet view, okay? Just say yes, and then let us input it. 101, 102. Okay, the date is actually, the first date is 15th of October. 10 means October. Okay, means 10 means October. Let us make this one 2018. If you like, you can make this one 2026 or 25. It is okay. Okay. This is just an example. Oh, sorry. Oh, 28. Okay, this one is October 14. This one is 31st of October. This one is November. This one is 28. The rest is 15. Okay, done. Okay, so we are done for the first table, which is a sales table. Okay. Now let us create another one, which is a sales inventory table. Okay. Always you have to make sure that, let me just repeat it. Okay. Always, if this one is number, the customer number is actually number here. The data type is number in sales table, and then it should be number in the customer table. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to connect it. And then make sure that the name is correct. It's just exactly the same. Okay. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to create a relationship database, to create a relationship between two tables, like the sales and the customer table. Okay. Just make sure that. Okay. So after this, let us create a new table. Okay. Let us rename this one as sales inventory table. Okay. Sales inventory table. So the same procedure, okay? We'll come to the datasheet view, sorry, the design view. Okay, sales invoice. Let us change it to number. So this one, since it is repeated, so let me just repeat this one. So the primary key cannot be repeated. It should be unique. The simplest example is one ID can be given only for one student. So one ID cannot be given for two students, right? So the relationship between ID and the student is just one-to-one combination, okay? So similarly, when you come to primary ID, it should be unique. It cannot be repeated, okay? But if it is a foreign key, for example, for sales table, the customer number is a foreign key. A foreign key can be repeated because just to connect this table with another table. Is that clear? So we already discussed actually in our lecture class about the primary key and the foreign key. So you need to go back and check it, okay? In fact, I will bring this one in the midterm exam as well, okay? I mean, theoretically, okay? So, but in this case, so we have actually two primary keys. So actual sales invoice number and item number. So it can be repeated. Anyway, the unique primary key, for example, for the sales inventory table is, since it is a combination of two tables, which is the sales and inventory, we can combine this one, right? Like 10110 is actually the unique number for this table. So what you are going to do is, first, since we cannot, for example, let me just show you. If I make this one number and then if I go back, so let us write 101 and then 101 again, right? I cannot write it because if it is a number and a primary key, it should not be repeated. So the system will not allow it. So what I'm going to do is, so let us make this one 102 for now. I will come back here and then let us change it to long text. Okay. And then later on we'll change it to a number. Okay. But now for recording purpose, we can come here so we can record anything because it's a text. Okay. Okay, now we already recorded, so let us come back here, change it to a number, okay? Because there's a number. Previously, why we change it into a long text? Because we cannot, the system will not allow us to record it. So change it to a number now, come back, and then yes. So as you can see here, now it is a number, okay? Now, if you go back here, it is a number. Now it is a number, so it is absolutely fine. Okay, so now let us create another variable, which is item number. Okay, so this one should be a number. Quantity again should be a number. Make sure that the data type is number for all items here, okay? So let us come back here. So we can repeat item number because the system assumes this one is actually a foreign key. So it can be repeated, okay, or any kind of number. But the first one cannot be repeated because the system assumes it is actually a primary key, okay? So let me check. Okay, good. Okay. Now we have completed actually the sales inventory table. Okay. So now we'll create an inventory table. So if you want, you can just keep this one, but if you want, you can just close them. So that is already saved. So you don't need to worry. So let us create a new table, which is let us rename, right click, save. Let us rename this one inventory table. Now again, change it to number. Unit price, let us make it currency. And description. Yeah, description is, well, it is a short text, okay? Okay, now I'll show you one thing. So now it is dollar here, right? If you want to change it to a dirham, for example. So let me just give you, sorry. Let me just give you one example, okay? So so let us assume you want to change this one to a dirham. So come back to this on the design view, and then click on currency. And then after that, just come here, okay, click on currency, and then come here. So put here AED, okay? You can put this one AED, for example, okay? Or if you want to change it from AED to dollar, you can change this one, okay? So let us see now. Now it changes into AED, right? But I prefer the dollar because it is a short one, okay? So I'll put it in dollars here. Yeah. Now it is in dollars, okay? So now let us record our data. Okay, let us double check it. Everything is good. Now let us close inventory table. It is already created here. Let us create another table, create new. Okay, and then let us rename this table as customer table, which is the last one. So the first thing is we need to change into a number. Customer number. Okay, so customer number, then okay, so everything is actually text. So let us come back here. 151. Okay. And finally, the state is at Arizona. Yeah, it is Arizona, AZ. Okay. So everything looks good. Okay, great. Let us check one more again. So this one should be a number. Make sure this one, the title. So now everything is created. Okay, so the first step, let me go back. Okay. So the first step, which is, as I mentioned, how to create the tables, is done. This one is done. Okay.